Okay, welcome back to another episode of The Last Game Hunter, and today, and thank you for tuning in. I just want to make that clear. We love you here. We're going to take a look at these already beat up. Let's see the camera there. Yeah, see that? We're going to take care of these nice old beat up but working Game Boy Advances. And this one's not as bad, but I mean, it's still got its things. I bought these two purposely to reshell and show you guys how it's done and some special types of shells. So first, we'll unbox and take a look at what I bought, and then we'll get into the refinishing of these bad boys. Okay, so in this box here, we'll call it box number 1. And this one we'll call 2. Alright, so what do we got in here? So right off the bat, we got some tools. Hey, they gave us some tools. Kind of hard. I'm playing around with a new camera setup here, and it's freaking me out. I got a overhead system. I don't think I've ever done a review on it. Alright, let's take a look at this. What we got here is the Super Mario 30th, I guess, edition, or like a little, collectible for 30 years or something like that. Maybe for the Game Boy. I'm not sure. I don't know how long they've been around. But anyway, let's open this all up and see everything that we get. Ooh, that feels weird. That feels really, really weird. I'm sure they're just laid there because there's no real press to them, so they probably have like a cardboard or something inside keeping them in place for looks. But it really feels... We'll have to see if the other one feels like it, but it's kind of got this interesting finish, I must say. And this piece here, of course, we get the screws and new plugs and the cover for, whatever you need there for it. And we get a brand new screen there. See it? Woo! Alright. And then we have... Oh, you even get the trusty... Yep. I legitimately bought the collector's edition. Yeah, I didn't just get it. Or make it. Anyway, even this shell... I guess it's just a different feel. Is that a sticker? No? Okay. Had to check because it felt really weird. And that's pretty odd to me. So, alright. Let's... I don't know if the camera sees it, but I think it's shifted this way more than it is this way, but I'm not 100%. I'd have to measure it, which I'm probably not going to do. So that's the first one. I like this one the most out of my order, but I'm not 100%. I guess until we see it. Also the feel. I want to know what the feel's like on this one. And again, of course, we get some new tools. And this one's going to be a little different. So going with the, of course, Mario, I guess, theme here. You get the Mario. It looks like he's throwing a hat. I thought he was surfing for a second, but no. I tried to pick ones that weren't going to be like really, really weird. And this one was as close to getting a non-weird. See, I didn't want to make one that you could buy for the simple reason that it felt like I was trying to make something that that existed and try to say that I had the Zelda one or what. I just decided I'm going to make ones I don't think that ever existed. And again, of course, we got the parts we need here, the sticker, the screen. This one feels the same as this one as far as the shell goes. So let me see what this feels like. Oh, and the back cover is off and hopefully not broken. But there we go. And on the inside, it must be a feel they wanted you to have, because it's an interesting, like, textured feel. And it's nice. I'm just not used to it, because when I open this one, it's a smooth feel. And this one is a textured feel. So again, it isn't on the inside, so it must have been a finish that they wanted on this. And maybe, if you can comment below, maybe this design exists. Maybe this texture look is part of one of their series. I have no idea. Again, I'm not a big Nintendo boy, being a Sega boy, so you guys have to answer the questions for me. Alright, so we have our 2 shells. We have 2 systems. We're going to use the tools they provided, just to make sure you get your money's worth. So, what do you get? Well, not much. You get one of these little wonderful things for prying plastic open, so you know you don't scratch it. Not really remembering having to do that at all. And then you get a Phillips and the Tri-Wing. I really don't think the camera's really going to see that. That's the Tri-Wing. Of course, that is your Phillips. So, I mean, cheap plastic hard handles. I don't want to take my kid out if I don't have to. I'd like to do the repair and the refurbishment on the tools they give you, because most people aren't going to even have these tools, and it's nice that they put them in. The only thing I know when I do stuff with these tools is I find it hurts my hand if you have to do any pressing, and that kind of sucks, but let's start. So I'm going to take the one, I think this one here with the most damage. Yeah, see that? It is pretty bad. We're going to take that one apart, because definitely this one needs a facelift. And I think we'll go with what I think is my favorite cover. So I'm going to go with this unit first. So we're going to take this and put it here, because it goes with that. And this is going over here. And I like that multi-tone, you know, the red and the white, or kind of a off-white. It's some white. It's a white. It's a white, damn it. Alright. Now, I'm sure there's teardown videos everywhere, all over the internet for this. So I'm not going to get too in-depth. I mean, there's a screw here. You take your battery door off. Basically, you pull out your battery, right? And these are easily replaced. I think the batteries in these proved to be pretty good, so I'm not too concerned about it. And then you're going to have a screw here, 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 and here. Now these, I believe, are all Ys. So now you put down that little Phillips. You pop in that little Y. I already hate this screwdriver already, but it's got a little bit of magnetism. Now, it's up to you if you want to use the original screws. If they're clean, I would probably reuse them, but if they're not, like these are clean. These look really clean, actually. Normally, if they're not, I just kind of use the new ones or clean them up. Sometimes you get like the gunk in there. I don't even know if you can really see this screw, but yeah, it's a little Y screw. I call them the Y screw anyway. I don't know what you guys want to call them, but that's what I call them. And there we go. And guys, I'm going to be doing a lot more of this tech and rehaul stuff, because it's what I really actually enjoy in life when I want to do something. And I haven't found that joy in a long time, so I've been kind of neglecting it. I bought this over a year ago. I have a project that most of you would go, oh my god. And I bought it. I had a year anniversary from the manufacturer just a little while ago, about a month or so ago. So it's like I've almost like I've lost the want to do it. But anyway, we're back. We're trying. We're gonna see what we can do. Keep it going. And yeah, so c'est la vie. Now I don't. Yeah, there we go. I was gonna say I don't remember this part being. Oh, I almost forgot that screw right there. And it is a Y as well. Why? I don't know why. Because they felt like it. Okay, for the sake of my hands, and it hurt. You gotta have small hands for these. I don't care what anybody says. You need a proper... now you can buy... I think I have kits in my electronic toolbox that give you multi-ends or whatever for just this, like Sega, Nintendo, that kind of thing. And that is great and all, but I don't want to dig them out, and I'm sure this kit has what I'm looking for, because I'm pretty sure I bought this kit based on what I'm looking for. And even when it's stripped, boom. And I probably don't want to ever reuse that. And now we are ready to take off this back. Ta-da! That's it. That's how easy that is to take off. Now you'll see stuff like this falling out of it. And you're going to see stuff falling out. You don't know what was inside these things. So we'll just give it a goodbye. While I have this open, I am going to do a cleanup on the board, especially the cartridge slot. And you probably won't notice, but they're old and they get dirty, and nothing like taking some alcohol and just getting it in there. So anyway, let's get this board out, and if I'm right, there's only a couple screws. One here, and one here. So 3 screws, I believe. And that is it. And I think they are now back to Phillips. So we're going to use their Phillips screwdriver because I don't want to be changing bits. And there we go. Then put them out kind of like how they came out, so that you know that the screws there are for the case, the screws here are for the motherboard. It's just a little happiness reminder. Or even when you're using the new screws, it tells you, okay, there was 3 in the motherboard, so you're not questioning and trying to find it. And this will just pop up, and you'll see that you gotta be careful here because there's a ribbon cable, okay? So you want to unplug this ribbon cable, and don't force it, because if it rips, it's goodbye. I mean, it's absolutely useless. And where did that fall from? Oh, it's one of the little buttons. Okay, so as you can see here now, we have the motherboard out, and while it's out, of course, we want to clean all the buttons and everything here. I don't know if this has new pads in this kit. We'll find that out, but it's not a big deal if it doesn't. These look pretty good. But anyway, we're going to clean them, and we'll probably clean in here too, just using rubbing alcohol. Here's your speaker, so that'll just pop out, go into the next one. No biggie. So I'm going to just do a blow off on this board. Get in everywhere. You get into all your little spots, because you're going to need it. So I might just spray some contact cleaner in here and let it dry, because really this is very impressive. It is very, very clean. So normally I take these apart and it's like, oh boy. And you know, like there's somebody's skin or something in there. You know, you never know what you're going to find. But anyway, that board's out. And now we have this piece here with our trusty screen. And of course we want our screen because that just makes sense. So we got to take out these little things here. And when you're taking out this ribbon cable, again, be careful. It goes through this little slot right here. And that slot, you kind of have to tip it a little to make sure it goes in and out without putting a rip in this area here. So this is something to watch for. As far as the speaker goes, I think it'll just pop. Boop, it popped. Now the speaker, if you want, you can clean these contacts, but I mean there's not a lot that's going to go wrong here. This one, I do have extras, but look at how clean and how nice that is. Normally when I take these out, they are discolored, tons of dirt inside there, and you can clean them. If the speaker sounded good when you tried it, fine, clean it up. But this one is spotless. So I'm impressed. It's almost like I was in here already. No, probably wasn't a very well used unit, is probably my guess. Oh, might as well take that furry stuff in case the other one doesn't have it. Oh, I see why, because that is keeping the dust out. See that? That was pretty smart of Nintendo on that one. So it's like a speaker grill. So we'll just lay that boop, right on top of the speaker. Okay, let's take this here apart and get this screen out. I don't even need, I don't think, to take anything apart other than this piece here. So let's see if I can, no, we're going to need a razor blade. Good old blue. And just Phillips going out around the outer ring here. As you can see now, I just kind of separated these screws again. I mean, no big deal. It's kind of, they're all pretty much the same length, actually. I haven't seen one that's a different length yet. So it really doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure that there isn't any different length ones. So nothing to really worry about. This is already wanting to pop. Look at that. So now, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. There we go. So remember I talked about this? You don't want to force this down or anything. You just kind of want to... Here's the problem, see? It could rip right here. And realistically, I should have... I think there might be a screw for that. Oh, there it is. Ha! I knew there was a screw. Because without that piece off on the other side, this can... Oh, it's actually a Phillips. This can actually be a easy tear. And I don't want anybody tearing their stuff apart or ripping something and then having to spend extra money because they listen to me. Now that one is the odd one, and I knew there was one. I just couldn't remember where. And that is your longest screw. So as you can see now, it just fell off. Out it comes. Okay? That's how simple that is. And here, this one's glass. That's why it's doing so well. This one is glass. So definitely keeping it. I don't think the new one, I think I flexed it, so it's not. So this one is glass. So that's really good to know. So now you see that we have everything pulled apart. Wow, it almost looked like it was cracked there for a second. I was scared. But it's actually not. Now that we have it apart, we can take the old stuff. Now, never throw out the old stuff, because you never know when you're going to find something. Like, other than the back on this, the rest of it was pretty good. Right? So, I mean, the rest of it was pretty good. So, you could just change this cover if you wanted to. Right? Let's say you wanted to mix and match. Now's the time. Okay? But the idea behind keeping it all is the fact that you could come across a really severely screwed up one and want to buy it, but then you're like, oh man, now I got to build a housing or buy a housing. And in this case, you don't, because again, MotorMaster, Mastercraft, same product as my toolkit, because here in Canada, Canadian Tire is kind of, I'm going to say, awesome-ish, but not amazing. But this stuff I can't find anywhere without spending big money on this contact cleaner. And I bought 2 cans from them right away because I was like, oh my god, they have them. It's so hard to get good ones. I always recommend putting something underneath here because I know I can easily replace my black rubber once it gets bad, but why if you don't have to? So I'm gonna... Now, the nice thing about this stuff is it will not hurt the board in any way. But you can get it on your fingers. Whew! Smells really good. Remember the buttons? Let's get them. Alright. So, now that we got that done, let's... Whoop! She's a dripping. Glass or no glass. So basically we just pop that bad boy back in there. Pop. Pop this guy back on here. Now what we're trying to make sure of is that we don't pinch this wire or this cable, because that cable is rounded on purpose to go with the hinge, okay? So that's kind of important that we don't mess that up. Alright, so I just wanted to lay it in there, see what it looked like. How does that look, guys? I think that's quite nice. I really do like that. So let's see how the end result is. Okay, so first things first, we're to take this apart. And again, like I said, there was cardboard in there. I knew that. So I don't need to take any of these out. I'm going to use all the new rubber. Just because, why wouldn't I? But keep your old rubber, because these did not look bad at all. But this is just going to give me that little extra no-wear feel. And actually, the nubs on these are actually more aggressive than on that. So that's kind of interesting. Oh, maybe that was the... No, that was the top. Okay, so I'm going to use these ones anyway because they came with the kit. That's the goal here. So we're going to take the fan grill, shall we say, or fan grill. It's got a fan in it. Speaker grill. And now the speaker will just drop in. And as you can see, it won't just fall out. So that's kind of nice. And it just makes a contact off here. And if you felt like your speaker wasn't working, or when you put it back together, it's not, you can kind of just get a little blade in there and kind of elevate those two prongs. It just means they weren't touching the board right. So it's just a heads up. So now, we've got to put this. So, we're going to do a... I don't want to tip too much in case those things come off again, which would really, really give me an upset time. I don't think they will, but let's be certain. Alright. So, now we are... Yeah, don't be scared to give it a little push, because it's going to need it. You gotta remember, these aren't original shells, so they will take a little bit more to put down. Now, before I do anything, I'm going to put a lot of pressure here. So, now we want to put the new bottom on, and the new bottom already has, you see, they've already pretty much pre-taken care of everything. So these are already, the bumpers are already on there. We just need to put this on now, and away we go. So now, another thing, when we're putting these on, do I need that off? Oh, yeah, that was stupid of me. Need this off so I can put the ribbon cable through. I knew I was getting a little ahead of myself. You see, when you put these things together so many times, you tend to forget a lot. Now this one's going to be a little bit tight because, again, it's brand new and it isn't exact. So that's, something to remember when you're doing this. Now, I guess I'll put the screws in here to get this back together, and we're going to use the new screws, like I said. That way I won't have it falling apart when I'm trying to do everything, and that just sucks. Alright, so let's see what we got in here. Okay, so we have a nice red... Oh, those are the little circles. I was like, what the heck is that? And then, what is this? This is our new switch. I don't need that yet. And we have the Nintendo logo to make everything look real. Because in the end, of course, you want it to look real. Hey, and look! One of those little square things. I guess it does matter. I have no idea. Oop. Is it this one? Oh, I'm grabbing the wrong screws. That's why. I need the... Alright, so I'm going to use the original screws. One. Take another one. I like to go cross just to... That way it's not really lifting or falling apart. Gives me that sense of happiness. Wow. I'm not as young as I used to be, that's for sure. Can't even get the stupid thing in the hole. No pun intended. If you want to see a rebuild of one of those, then if you're not subscribed, I would suggest you do. Now, I also try to make it as simple and as easy as possible to do these, right? So basically, when you look at me do it, there's a high chance you'll go, oh wow, that's so easy, right? And that's what I want. I want you guys to say, hey, that's so easy. Now look at this. Just like a brand new, whoop, looks like I took it apart, and we're going to put it back together. So in here, I won't even play around with those things yet to get this onto this. So we need to put this through here, and now that is there. Okay, so just to give a idea here on what the big problem was with this hinging thing, was getting these plugs here out, and not so easy. And then it was. Stupid me. So they're in here like this. Basically, if you just take a screwdriver, put it in the center of it, put it down on the desk, and push this way, out they come. So I was trying everything. All I was doing was butchering it. They're out. So now let's get it, the new one, back together by putting in these pins. Looks like they do have slots on them. Not sure. Putting them in or taking them out was easier after. Putting them back in, I'm not so sure of. Okay, it's in a bit, so let me get the other one on and see if I can figure out a pleasant way to finish that. And that is that. Alright, so now we have our hinges on. We don't want to play around with this too much yet. Now we have the hinges so that we don't have to worry about the screen falling off right now. And I had forgot about that when I was doing the teardown. But I did off camera figuring out what it was. I should have just went to another YouTube channel and watched it, but I didn't. Even then, I just figured it out without getting help again because I'm stubborn that way. Alright, so ribbon cable. We want to put it back in, and we want to make sure that the pins, the cable should only go in one way, which should be like this. And there's only one way to test that after, and that is to make sure your tabs are open. And that is just to turn it on before you seal everything up, to make sure you've done everything you wanted to do. Oh boy, I always hate this part. If you want to talk about the hardest part of doing something like this, it's here. Anytime you do a mod, it's the problem is these things are in the way, right? So you can't push up against it. It's really annoying. And that's where that problem comes in. Wow, I never had this much trouble before. All right. Remember, you don't want to pull too hard on these tabs either, because you don't want to rip your cable. Once that's done, it's done. So, we're back in. Now, before I put the rest of this back together, it would definitely be nice to know if this actually powers up still. So we're just going to take the battery, lay it in. There we go. So we have picture. Okay, so we're good there. Alright. Now we don't have to worry so much. We know at least the unit is working. I'm going to put the screws in and I'm going to test the buttons. That's very important. So I'm going to put the screws in now and test the buttons. So I'm just going to use the original screws again. I think they were Phillips. Okay, note to self and note to everybody. Don't put the board back in before you put this piece back on. The screw hole for that is under here. So now I have to take the board out again. And now I got the rhythm cable, the ribbon cable hooked up, and I don't want to take it out. So I got to be careful here. I don't want to mess things up. Now when you're putting this on too, make sure you don't pinch that cable because that would really not be cool. And remember that longer screw that we had. The only longer one. That's the one that goes through here. Alright, so now we're cutting into basically new plastic, so you'll have to give it a little bit of place. Let's make sure all these are in place. Put this back on. And we know the speaker worked when I had it temporarily powered too because we heard the bring. Alright, so now we have this piece on. So now this doesn't look horrible when I open it. It's all nice and done. Alright, so now we can put the board in. So just remember that because I put the board back in and forgot about that screw. And off camera, I actually had the screws in for the board. And then I was like, oh yeah, I got to put that on. And then when I went to put it on, I thought one of these screw holes here were for it. And I was like, oh, darn. So, learned my valuables lessons. Camera should be able to see that. See how screwed up I am? Now, what doesn't make sense there is the fact that when I put those in, it went by the groove sizes. I don't want to scratch up the case already. So that's why I only put one screw in, because when you do this, you want to test the buttons right away, because at that point, it would just be really annoying to put it all back together and go, wow, those buttons are stuck, or they don't press, or whatever the case is, there's no clickety click, and that's what's happening right now. Plus, they're not even shaped. They're not even pointing the right way. So, again, we pull this up. Getting annoyed with myself. Now that I know I got it right, we're going to put these back on. Put the board back in. And again, remember, put one screw, the one in the middle, because that'll hold the board pretty tight. So get it all nice and snug. And then check your buttons again, because every time I do one of these, I end up having to take the board off and fixing the orientation of the buttons, or they weren't pressing. Now they're pressing. Here already. Oh, and this is the lights. Did I just do that again? So, see? Board removal number 2. That's why I only put one screw in. Look over your job. Make sure the job is done right. Hopefully that is the last time. Now, because I've taken the board out and back a few times, I'm going to want to put the screw in, power it up one more time. Make sure not only did I get the lights and everything working, did I mess up the ribbon cable. And that would suck, but, or did it just come out just enough to stop working? So these are little key things that you need to be ready and aware for. So we're going to take the battery. So we have another problem. You see, something so simple can turn into numerous little tiny things. And now the speaker must not be making contact. Do what I said about those tabs. Just by tipping them up a little, just to make contact. So you're just pulling the tabs up just a tiny bit. And then, again, like I said, every time you take this off and put it back on, the most important thing to do is drop one screw in. I am going to say it over and over and over. Test it before you put the other two in, because that'll just upset you. And I've upset myself many times. So if I was doing a review of this screwdriver, I'd say it sucks. Alright, so now we have it back on. Let's hope we have sound. That's all we can ask for. There we go. Alright, we got sound. Alright, so we just, got better. So everything else now other than cosmetics is done. Then we'll put the other two screws back in. Now remember, this is new plastic, so the screws are going to go in with a little bit of effort because you're now chewing into the plastic. So don't be worried about that, but don't over tighten it. Once you get down to the bottom there and you feel that it's in, stop. Because once you stretch or strip that area, you're going to have, more issues. So there we go. Now we're going to put the new bottom back on. Keep in mind, when they ship, they're already got all the new little doohickeys in there already for you. Okay, so remember we have test these buttons. Okay, we have a screw here, and we have our 4 screws here, and all those screws were Y screws, and that be these. Now I still don't have a clue where that went. That is still a puzzling thing for me, and how important it is. Alright, so now we have, oh, and the screen got nice and stiffer. There we go. So now we have everything except for the battery back in, the sticker on, and the little knickknacks to make it look really nice. So let's pop the battery back in, put the cover back on. Or not. Is that where the nut went? That would be... Yeah. Found it. So guys, all that, and I need to take it apart to replace that nut. That was right there. See, it looked like it went here, so I didn't really pay much attention. And that is a oversight on my part. Little word of advice, pay attention to what you're doing. I know I didn't. But you also learn from your mistakes. And I think they've always been in the shells that I've done, and I never ever noticed them. I've never taken one out, that's for sure. So I probably did not notice it before, and now I'm upset and paying the price for it. So here we go again. Remember how wonderful it was to put on? And here I am taking it off. Remember that nice little plastic pry tool? This is where it's good. On the original one, it'll fall apart pretty easily, I find. But on this tight new plastic, you're not going to get the same experience because, well, it's tight and it's new. So you just run it along here. I don't want to scratch it, so I want to use the tool just to make sure I don't make this thing ugly. I took all the screws out, correct? I always check for that because it's being stubborn and nobody likes stubborn. Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense now, does it? Okay, so one thing we're going to learn here is fit and finish. Other than like the you know, looks, it looks pretty good. Fit and finish there's pretty nice. Whoops, turn. Cheap screws. And now I can't get it out. So what I want to do then, I want to take this screw here off here, which is not that hard to do. That fully works. So this whole time, it was a cheap screw, not going down proper, and causing grief to the point where it would strip. And now I should be able to just screw this down nicely. There we go. Alright, let's put the battery back in. So note, do not use the original screw that came with this, or with the kit. Put the original Nintendo screw if you have it. If you don't, just be careful, because that screw is garbage and it will strip very, very easily. Alright, so now we don't have that issue anymore. The door fit and finish is kind of interesting. It doesn't seem to... maybe it's not in all the way. We're going to see. It is. I find it a little springy. You can tell it's probably not original, whether it says Game Boy or not on it. Even though the original one doesn't say Game Boy on it. So, a little bit of a giveaway, I assume. Alright, so first thing, before we flip it, we're going to sticker it. We're going to make it look real. What? It's authentic, guys. I never, you know, questioned it. It's a totally authentic unit. And it's a 001, just like it's supposed to be, so that is key. I didn't actually buy something to make it look like it wasn't. The peel off of the new and improved. I don't know about improved, but there we go with that. Just come out. I'm making mistakes non-stop. See, I'm showing you guys what not to do, and then you'll know not to do it. That is my story. I'm doing it on purpose. That's my story. So it comes with 3, of course, for the smaller holes. I did not notice that until I went to put it in the hole, and I was like, wait a minute. This ain't the right size. And then I thought I was going to have to use the original ones, but you don't, because they actually come with the right thing. So literally, don't stick them down, and you can slide them a little if you're gentle on your stick down. And now we have those in. You see how this is coming together. And now we're going to do the final. What do you think of that, guys? Kind of a neat two-tone. The texture's interesting. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the other one done off camera. And then we're going to talk about them. And see what I think of these kits for the price. And if you want to do something like this, I'll have links below as well. So let's get to finishing. B-roll on these little guys. I'm really happy with the finish. Like what has it's hard playing with an up camera. What has become of these units is actually pretty nice. I am overall impressed with the fit, feel, and finish now that I know that it was an intentional fit. I thought this was weak, but when I pressed on an original, it was the same thing. So it wasn't really anything different in the plastic. Was one weaker than the other? No. I did find that this red one here had a better door that I guess fits proper than this one. I found that it's springy on the sides. Other than that, though, everything went together pretty decently well, other than my own stupid mistakes of, you know, having to take the board out. I think it was ended up being 6 or 7 times in the end. But it's not at fault of the kit, it's at fault of the user. And overall, I just have to say, if you're looking to modernize your Game Boy Advance, I would recommend. They are perfectly fine. It's a great opportunity to enjoy a couple nice units from the past, making them newish. I guess new after you refurb them inside, and understanding that, you know, you have a machine that you decided you wanted it to look as it does. So guys, thank you. I know this video is very long, and I just didn't want to. It was almost 2 hours when I was doing the whole video and everything. I didn't shoot building this one, but it was the same thing, just a different shell. I learned a lot doing this video, and I hope you guys have too, especially when it came to the hinges, as I've taken it apart before to get a screen out and a board to use on a normal Advance to do a modification. I've never built this model before, so I never had to take these apart. So that was definitely a learning curve. Should have went to YouTube and did what everybody else would do, look it up, but I'm way too stubborn for that, and I like to learn the hard way. So I'm hoping that my learning the hard way is so that you don't have to, and I hope you enjoyed this video of these units. And guys, you know, till next time, game over.